Welcome back to Rowdy Sports. This is Peach. Match day 8 review of the World Cup. So we had Czechia versus South Africa, Switzerland versus Bosnia, Canada versus Qatar, and Mexico versus South Korea. All right, we're starting with Czechia versus South Africa. Opening goal came in the first 6 minutes. It gave real high hopes, you know what I mean, for the game. And it was just not a great game. It was so slow, so boring. The Czechia players really need to understand that their best goal scorer and probably their best player is Patrick Schick. And if you're not getting that guy or getting the ball to him in the top of the box or creating for him, they're not going to do anything. And it just was so boring, so frustrating, like watching them just like give away the ball or pass backwards when dudes open in the box or making great runs. South Africa really fought hard to keep that game at a 1-goal deficit, though. And they got the equalizer in the 83rd minute through a penalty, right? Mokina, whatever. South Africa earned that draw, and Czechia fucking dropped the ball. That is really the tale of that game. What did I predict the score would be for this game? 2-1. I thought that Lukic or Lyle Foster, I thought that Sulik would do something, but he didn't even start, and this was just a game to miss, you know what I mean? Truly was. All right, moving on. Switzerland versus Bosnia, 4-1. But don't let the scoreline fool you, because this game was also kind of a fucking stinker. Unless you're a Swiss or a fan of Switzerland, then I guess you're probably happy with the result. But holy smokes, what a boring game. The first goal didn't come until the 74th minute. It took fucking forever. Breel Mbolo with the assist. I can't remember who got the goal, but it wasn't anything special. And then, you know, the game kind of just went on slowly. Another goal from like Vargas, who was a substitute. There was a red card for Bosnia. This is all after the 74th minute. You know what I mean? This has all happened, you know, in 3/4 of the game done. And then they get 4 goals after that. There was 1 goal back from Bosnia that it's like, okay, well, you know, the Swiss got to be furious with themselves to be giving up a goal to 10 men, you know, after they're taking the lead. It's just like, why give up the clean sheet? And then to end the game, Bosnia give up a pen in like the 97th minute. They get one back in like the 93rd, and then they give up a pen right after. Granted, Jaga, great pen, but man, you could have taken a nap, woke up in like the 60th and been like, whoa, this game stinks. And then like all of a sudden it'd be great. And then it would have been a good game. But this was a tough one to watch up until that first goal went in. And then you're like, okay, well, let's just get to the whistle. And then then things started happening. You're like, where the fuck was all this? Why did it take so long? Huh? Jesus. All right. Thank you, Jesus. All right, moving on. Canada versus Qatar, 6-0. I don't know who rubbed on a magic ball to get that prediction right, but if they did, good on ya. Because nobody I know and no sportscaster was like, yeah, the Canadians are going to come out here and beat the fucking ever-living shit out of fucking Qatar. Well, they did. They for sure did. The first goal by Larin, who I definitely gave a shout-out for, and a goal right after by Jonathan David. They were almost simultaneous. After the second goal, there was a red card. I think that first red card happened in the 50th. No, the third goal happened in the 50th. Man, this game was just jam-packed full of wildness. Let's start with the first red card. It was a goal-scoring opportunity. It took forever because they thought it was in the box, so they gave it as a pen, reviewed it. It was outside the box. You know, Nothing happens. Then at the end of the second half, I want to say that, let's see, in the 33rd minute, the red card from the open play, right at the end of the second half, in the 48th minute, Jonathan David gets a second goal, right? Come back into the second half, 53rd minute, the most horrific tackle I think I've ever seen live. And you could hear the snap of Ismail Kone's bone, broken like a chicken bone. Like, you could hear the snap on the broadcast. It was horrific. Thoughts and prayers go out to Kone, but Asim Madibo looked like he did that on purpose and should be investigated. This should be investigated. He should be banned from playing in World Cup matches, or at least in FIFA sponsored events. Like, this was horrible. There was no need for the challenge. Like, there was zero need for the challenge. He came through the back of a player and kicked his fucking leg in half. It was so fucking wild. And the broadcasters wouldn't re-show it, but they showed the injury immediately, and his leg was just like, if this is going straight, his leg was like, ooh, like a snake, like wobbling out. You know what I mean? Through the shin, you know what I mean? It was so gnarly. You gotta feel something. It's just not good. But there needs to be more serious repercussions than just a single match ban. He should not be playing in this tournament if he's going out there to fucking injure people. It is an absolute disgrace. I don't care what anybody says. I know what I saw. I saw a man literally go out to injure another player, and he ended up breaking a guy's leg. Period. That being said, right after that, the player who came on for Kone, what was his name? Incredible free kick. I think it was Saliba that came on for Kone. Nathaniel Saliba. I want to say his name is Nathaniel Saliba. His name is Nathaniel Saliba. All right. So Nathaniel Saliba comes on. Beautiful goal. Bends it to the outside of the wall. Outside the fucking post. Or like it goes far enough to be outside the post, come back in, hit the post, and go in. You know what I mean? Great free kick. Like, and people are not going to talk about it because there was so much controversy in this game, but that fucking free kick was fucking class. And then he threw up the heart for Kone, but damage is done. Owen Goal gets on the score sheet. Jonathan David with a hat trick. The hat trick's going to outshine that fucking free kick, and the two red cards are going to outshine that free kick. But realistically, man of the match, obviously, is Jonathan David. Remember, the players that I did say that you should be watching for were Jonathan David and Larin. They both scored. David scored more. Period. This game was a good game. It was definitely full of things to watch. But that red card, that fucking broken leg, made it really, really, God, that's tough. But it happens, you know? All right, moving on. Mexico versus South Korea. You know, this game was a nail-biter? No, not really. First goal came in the 50th minute through a gem of a goal from Romo. And I think the real question of this game is, the substitutes were so bad, especially the early substitutes. The first two substitutes from each team were so questionable, to say the least. So Korea in the 57th minute, subbing off Heung-min Son and Lee Jae-sung. Heung-min Son is their best player and their captain. There's very little reason in my mind that you ever sub off your captain. Like, this is 7 minutes after the goal goes in. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, he's got to come off. Fuck him. He's too old. He's not good enough. But the person that they put on in his place did literally zero things. They didn't score a goal, so the substitutes obviously didn't work. And you're taking off your best player for someone that maybe is good sometimes, once in a while. It's a fucking crazy thing to do. And I don't say this lightly, but it is a fucking crazy thing to do that stupid ass shit. Now, I'm angry because I had bets, but looking at it from like an objective or an outside point of view, like these subs were very bad and super early. Like you make those kind of substitutions in the 70th minute where Mexico did. However, the substitutes that they fucking brought on were also garbage. It was the people that they took off were the questionable ones. They took off Brian Gutierrez and their goal scorer Romo, who both were having very good games for them. They brought on like Pineda and someone else that did nothing, but they took off their two players that were literally creating everything for their team. And then they stopped creating. There were like 2 shots after those 2 players, after those 4 players came off. There were like 2-3 shots max. It was, I mean, the Mexico fans are going to be, Mexicans and Mexico fans are going to be very happy because they won 1-0. You know what I mean? They've kept 2 clean sheets now. But man, this game stunk. The only thing we can take from it is the fact that Gutierrez and and Romo are cash money picks, especially Romo. He's dirt cheap. Like for fantasy sports, he was like 3,000. You know what I mean? Which is like one of the lowest midfield costs that you can get. It is probably the lowest costing midfielder that you can get. So he had insane value. You know what I mean? The another thing you can take from this is that Mexico's goalkeeper is worth betting on going forward. I mean, he's kept 2 clean sheets. What's to say he doesn't keep a 3rd clean sheet? Let's see. His name's Rangel. Raul Rangel. Shout out. So let's go over everything that we learned today. Don't bet on Czechia. Don't bet on South Africa. They're just not going to give you anything. They fucking suck, and they sucked all day. Switzerland, you know, if Vargas isn't playing, Jacques is going to be taking the free kicks. But if Vargas is playing, he's taking all the free kicks and shit. You're probably not. You could gamble on betting on Mbolo. You know what I mean? But man, Canada, Jonathan David hat trick. Do you think he gets another goal or 2 in the next? Maybe. I think Larin is a safer bet. He seems very, very consistent, like very, very consistent. And that's something that I look at. But the person that I think was best in their side was their left back. Man, this left back was a baller. It's something super white. Johnson. I was right. It was Johnson. Definitely always pick him. He was a really good value pick. And you can probably get some good prop bets like crosses or passes completed. And in Mexico, you bet on their goalkeeper. He's so solid. You bet on Romo, especially if he's super undervalued. These are great for fantasy. Sometimes teams' props are just horrible. But, it is what it is. And remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And, yeah.